Hello everybody, it's Father Edward Looney here, and I really would like to share with you a little bit about the history of the dogma of the Immaculate Conception. And maybe before we do that, what is the Immaculate Conception? Well, it's this belief, this dogma that Pope Pius IX declared on December 8th of 1854. And Pope Pius IX declares this belief that Mary was preserved from the stain of original sin, that God foresaw the merits of the cross and applied them to his mother Mary at that very moment when she was conceived in the womb of St. Anne. Now, the history of the dogma of the Immaculate Conception declared in 1854, but it was something believed for many, many years. For centuries upon centuries, people believed in the Immaculate Conception. We see it come to fruition, though, with the dogmatic declaration, though. But there are some people in history, they've kind of received a bad rap at times. And some of them include St. Bernard of Clairvaux, one of my all-time favorite saints and preachers about the Blessed Mother. Others like St. Thomas Aquinas. And basically, why they get a bad rap, people say they denied the Immaculate Conception. Not all that true. They believed that Mary was sinless, yes, but they believed that maybe there was a moment before God's sanctifying grace took place. Kind of for the Thomists, it's a delayed ensoulment. For St. Bernard, it's Mary being sanctified in the womb of St. Anne. And that's kind of what they say. And now the dogma of the Immaculate Conception is that from the very moment that Mary came to be in the womb of St. Anne, she was immaculately conceived. So there wasn't some sort of sanctification at a later time. Okay, so that's the history of the Immaculate Conception in terms of those deniers, as they say, of the Immaculate Conception. Now, I just want to hint at the fact of kind of the architects of the dogma. So there are two in particular that I have in mind. The first is Blessed Eadmar of Canterbury, kind of what laid the groundwork, the foundation, this Benedictine monk, for the dogma of the Immaculate Conception. And then we have Blessed Duns Scotus, who really frames it. And that's how the Immaculate Conception theologically began to become explained in circles, was through the thought and thinking of Blessed Duns Scotus. Okay, so we know what the Immaculate Conception is. We've talked about some of the deniers of the Immaculate Conception, kind of the people responsible for forming our belief about it. And so this belief, like I said, present in the church for many, many years. So people readily believed Mary was conceived without sin. In 1854, the Holy Father says, yes, this is something that we all should be believing in. We need to give our faith to it. One of the things I always like to point out, and you've probably heard of this religious community called the Marians of the Immaculate Conception. People like Father Donald Calloway, or Father Michael Gately, or Father Chris Alar. They're all Marians of the Immaculate Conception. And their order was founded by a man named Blessed Stanislaus Pepczynski in Poland or Lithuania, in one of those Eastern European countries. And they were founded in the 1500s and the 1600s. They were founded years before the dogma was defined. So I always think that that is something that's quite remarkable, to have a religious congregation dedicated to the Immaculate Conception even before it was formally declared an official belief and teaching of our Roman Catholic Church. So not only do we have that, but then we have the Blessed Virgin herself. She appears in 1830 to a nun, to Sister Catherine Labouré, at a convent in Paris, France, Rue de Bac. She says to St. Catherine Labouré, have a medal struck and have the words, O Mary, conceived without sin, pray for us who have recourse to thee, inscribed on that medal. O Mary, conceived without sin, pray for us who have recourse to thee. Mary, 1830. It's not 1854 yet, but she is saying, I was immaculately conceived. That's how much rooted it was in the Christian people that even Mary affirms it to them when she appears, and that leads to the Holy Father defining it. Now, if you had any doubts about the Immaculate Conception, Mary says it, 1830, tells Catherine, Sister Catherine, St. Catherine Labouré, O Mary, conceived without sin. She was conceived without original sin, remained sinless her entire life. Well, 4 years after that dogmatic definition, on December 8th of 1854, in 1858, February 11th, the Blessed Virgin Mary appears to a young girl in the Pyrenees Mountains named Bernadette Soubirous. And Saint Bernadette Soubirous, in these series of apparitions, 18 in total, at the very end of the apparitions, she kept asking the woman, "Who are you?" And Mary said, "I'll tell you in due time." And finally she says, "I am the Immaculate Conception." 1830, O Mary, conceived without sin, pray for us who have recourse to thee. 1854, the definition, ratified by the Blessed Mother, who says, "I am the Immaculate Conception." This is a beautiful feast day that we have today, that we celebrate on December 8th, the feast of the Immaculate Conception, because Mary was without sin, but she, as the sinless virgin, gives us an example for us to follow. She, as one who was full of grace, gives us, as mediatrix of grace, the graces we need to live our Christian life. Turn to Mary today. She's the Immaculate Conception. There are so many saints. Saint Maximilian Kolbe in the 20th century, great devotion, called Mary the Immaculata. And so be devoted to Mary, for she is the Immaculate One. She is the one who is praying for us. O Mary, conceived without sin, pray for us who have recourse to thee.